Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the HumanizeHer podcast. I'm your host, Erica Lockheimer.
And I'm your co-host, Elizabeth.
Our guest today is an absolute powerhouse, redefining what a public university can achieve. Cynthia Teniente-Matson is the president of San José State University, the original startup right here in Silicon Valley. And she is a first-generation college graduate with a remarkable journey from humble beginnings. She champions access, leading a university where 70% of students are diverse. Bringing her CFO expertise, she secured partnerships with tech giants like Nvidia and Adobe. Her mission, to be a direct pipeline to a job for graduates ready for the AI revolution. Under her leadership, SJSU is ranked a top 5 public university in the nation. She's a phenomenal leader and a powerhouse of purpose. This episode of HumanizeHer is brought to you by BitGo. Just like we believe every woman deserves the tools to thrive, BitGo believes every business deserves the digital asset infrastructure to scale. Because digital represents more accessibility, more transparency, and more possibilities for everyone. Thank you, BitGo, for sponsoring Women's Voices. Thank you, Cynthia, for coming. We're so excited to have you. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Geez, and also you're the president of San Jose State. Can we just bow down?
Madam President.
Thank you.
Yeah, people call you Madam President. Yeah,
They do in the
They
office.
do? Okay.
Sometimes Madam President, President, Miss President,
Miss President,
Dr. President.
Dr.
I
President.
get lots of different, machinations of the title.
Wow.
I love that.
Automatically, must feel so fantastic. And I'm also I'm going to be honest, a little bit nervous. I graduated from San Jose State and here I am with the
Yay.
president. Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
You're not in
Yes.
trouble. You're
I'm
not in
not
the
in
dean's
trouble.
office, right?
I never went to the dean's office, just so we're clear. I never got in trouble.
Okay, good.
Yes,
Anyway.
I was working.
I'm not surprised.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I definitely never went to the dean's office, so you can actually check my records. It was back in 2000. But I will.
All right. Well, I'm just going to believe you on that. I have no reason to think otherwise.
Okay, but I will tell you, I
Nothing but
wasn't a straight
positivity.
A student. That is a fact.
Hey.
C's earned degrees. It's a true thing. I'm sorry.
This is true.
Yeah.
Some people say pay the fee, get a B.
Oh,
C's earned degrees.
I like that.
Yeah,
That
There's
is-
different ways to go about college and life, but
I agree. I was working the whole time and a first-gen graduate, and I believe you are also.
I am. I'm also a first-gen college graduate, although I was a first-gen college student when that really wasn't a term or not one that I was ever familiar with. So it's so nice to be here full circle with an amazing alumnus and opportunity to be here. And I always say great things happen when women come together. So I'm delighted to be here.
I
you
agree.
belong here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you definitely belong here.
Oh,
And
okay.
yes, it's amazing. And I also think that the school, San Jose State, has done so much for women in engineering. And I want to let you know
Yes.
that is the way I chose my major. I had no idea what I was doing, was going to junior college, Dan's in West Valley around the corner. And I literally walked the halls of the brand new engineering building at the time. That was probably 1997, 96 or something like that. But I remember walking the halls of San Jose State and simply seeing a women in engineering glass case. And that was the moment of belonging. And that's exactly how I chose my major. And I know you do a lot for women in engineering, and the stats of what San Jose State and the kind of students that graduate from those, the school is phenomenal.
So I will say the sense of purpose or belonging or whatever it is that inspires you to be at a place is so true in being successful as a college student, whatever that journey looks like and however long it takes. I started in college as a petroleum engineering student.
Oh, wow.
My first semester, and I take my first geology class it's in preparation for the components of the petroleum engineering. So it was a foundational course, and I really realized that was not something I enjoyed at all. So I was fortunate to learn that early in my college journey to be able to change degrees or change majors, over to business, where I really thrived there. But it was that sense of, this is, okay, it's not that I'm not smart enough. Although I don't know if you really recognize that when you're doing the work. I don't think I did, as much as I just don't like this.
Right.
This is hard. So there's a big transition going from high school to college anyway. So not only was it hard because of the pace, it was hard because I didn't like it. I didn't know that at the time. But I know that now, and I know what students experience in that regard. So when I got over to the business side of the world, even in accounting, which is a hard course, or economics, some of the more difficult courses, some of them gateway courses, I knew right away that I enjoyed it. So it wasn't, it was daunting, but it wasn't daunting like, I don't want to do this. It was daunting like, I'm going to climb this mountain. And I think that's the sense that you're describing of how students feel when they come to San Jose State now, particularly in engineering, which has always been male dominated. I started my career as a CFO. So I understand that male dominated or male oriented, even if it's not, to use a different word, male oriented positional, where you fit within that is really critical. So when you come up in an engineering program and you see at our campus now, we have a woman dean, we have women associate deans, we have women department chairs. We have a very ambitious agenda for our women who are studying engineering. So it's a great place to be, especially in today's society. The world needs far more engineers than we're producing across the United States. So it's fantastic. I'm glad you had such a good experience there.
Yes.
And have had such a prosperous career that lands me here with you today.
Yeah, I know. I would have honestly never thought that this would actually happen. And all my alumni folks are like, oh my gosh, this, because it was just, it's so surreal. I mean, I just barely tried to get through college, but it was the atmosphere. And I remember being in the study hall and, you know, you just created that environment. Like it was okay. I liked the way that you described it. It's like, hey, some of this stuff was like really, really hard, but did you enjoy it? And you enjoyed going through it? Like I remember I first started off as a civil engineer. I'm like, no, I'm going to go over here on the computer engineering side. But having that optionality of testing things out, because you have so much pressure as such a young student and deciding what do you want to do. And so being able to have that literally like a playground to test and feel comfortable and embrace that. So I think San Jose State is a pretty unique school. And I think it would be also great to understand a little bit about the demographics of your type of students and what you've learned. I mean, you're in the heart of Silicon Valley, which is also pretty unique.
Sure. When I talk about San Jose State in particular, you know, the oldest public university on the West Coast, we were founded in 1857. So I always say we were the original startup and the original influencers. So that it's just a heartbeat of where San Jose State is. But our demographics are extremely diverse. The city of San Jose is one of the top 5 most diverse communities in the United States of residents that weren't necessarily born in the United States as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So there is a lot to be said about the diversity of our community. We have a federal designation as a Hispanic serving institution, which means over 25% of the students self-identify as Hispanic, Latino, Latina. There's a whole range of the diaspora. And then the other designation we have, which is actually our larger population, is the ANAPISI, which is an acronym for Asian American, Native American, Pacific Islander institution. So there's a lot of diversity within that framing, but over 35% of our students self-identify in that category right there. So it's a very diverse community. And then we have a fair number of international students, over 2,500 that identify as, or they are international students studying at San Jose State. So you have a very strong likelihood of coming to the San Jose State and meeting somebody who's different than you.
Yeah.
And comes from a different place. So the geographic diversity, the intellectual diversity, the ethnic and racial diversity, the cultural diversity, it's all there, as you well know. So I'm still learning a lot in the beginning of my 3rd year at San Jose State. I'm still learning so much about our student body in the community, which is really exciting for what students experience when they're there. And they tell me that they're having a very different type of experience being a college student at San Jose State in a positive way.
In a positive way. Wow, that's fantastic. And I also you are the president of San Jose State, but do you also, I'm just going to go back to what you mentioned, you used to be CFO. Like, how does that transition happen? I'm just curious, like, how does that even, how did that evolve to where you're at today?
Well, a long time ago when I finished college, I was working in higher ed administration.
Okay.
So I have an undergraduate in business from the University of Alaska at Fairbanks, and I have an MBA from the University of Alaska in Anchorage. And so I spent some time in the University of Alaska system because my family moved to Alaska when I was a child for all kinds of reasons. So it was a very successful opportunity for me for my parents really to break into the middle class by moving away from our roots, which are Texas. I'm a native Texan, to move to California. We moved to California. My parents did what many families did of that generation, followed a sibling. So both of my mom and dad are born in the United States. My grandparents migrated to San Antonio, Texas, from that area, South Texas, from Mexico.
Oh, wow.
So both of my parents were born in San Antonio in the United States, and so was I. But we had very humble beginnings and lived in what was previously redlined communities, which was common in that era in many parts of the United States. So those are places where people of color couldn't buy homes. And when you look at income segregation or income segregation and income wealth gaps, you can often trace it back directly through cartography and mapping to redlining, which occurred back.
I was going to say, when was that?
In the 20s, 30s, 40s. There was a period of time in the United States that you couldn't get a loan if you weren't in an approved community. So there were redlined, that's a term, the redline communities where you couldn't get a loan to buy a home. And that's where, because of race, gender, ethnicity.
That's crazy. And you're saying 20s, 30s. That's not that long ago.
No, it's not that long ago. So anyway, my family had lived in a redlined community, my parents, and for better opportunity, neither of my parents had an opportunity to go to college. So they made different choices in their life and moved us to California. So I moved to California when I was a girl, and I was 8 at the time. And then my parents moved us to Alaska when I was 12. And that's how I got to University of Alaska in terms of where I went to college. I'm a first generation Latina student from those Mexican-American origins. So how do I end up in higher ed administration? When I got my MBA, I was working in higher ed in admin. And I was working on the procurement side, procurements and contracts, and then I moved into the auxiliary world. And when I finished my MBA, I had an opportunity to move into a leadership role as a CFO. And that's how I became a vice chancellor, in essence, at a very young age. I was in my 30s when I became a vice chancellor at the University of Alaska at Anchorage in the Alaska system. And I moved I was there for a number of years and was really happy there. But I did learn I don't like cold weather. So eventually every winter I would say to my husband, why are we, I don't know that I can take this. But when you're a kid, your home is where your family is, right? And so we just grew up there, got married there, had our children there. So it was, what brought me back to California was my boss at the time, the chancellor who had hired me, I was vice chancellor, decided he was going to retire. And at that moment, that pivotal moment, really caused me to think about where did I want to be, what was important to me, what were my values. And I'd gone to one of these workshops like we often do earlier in our career, where it's sort of looking under the hood of what does your life look like in the future, and really became acquainted with the idea of matching values, your personal values with your workplace values, and what are your goals and things that are important to you, and really helped me map that out. So when my boss made that decision, and I think, as the higher up you are in the C-suite, it's very directly correlated to the person that you work with, or the CEO, the chancellor. That's true at every level. So I made a decision to put myself on the job market to see what else was out there. And I had, a priority list of what I was looking for in a position, what was important in the work itself, and then what was important to my family and what was important for my husband and I. And through a variety of, these sort of matrix, I ended up at California State University at Fresno.
Wow.
And so I was hired there by Dr. John Welty, who was my president and CEO, and I was there for just a couple months shy of 11 years. And shortly after I arrived, and this is really the significance of knowing what you're looking for, is you're shopping for what's the best fit for you, all the factors that are in going on in your life. And so I had some really important family criteria, and Dr. Welty listened to me, and he helped me find what I needed in my family to make sure that was going to be a right fit for me. And at the time, as a younger person at the time and having children, it was important to me that our youngest son at the time was in a bilingual education program. So he was doing bilingual language skills and had started that in kindergarten. So that was important to me. And I really wanted to find a true bilingual program, dual language immersion, really is what it was. So Dr. Welty had set up interviews for me with superintendents and schools to make sure I had time during my interview process. And then the other thing was important to me was my older son was a hockey player.
Oh, okay.
And so he ended up setting me up with, how we could make that happen, which is how I got introduced to San Jose.
Okay, I was going to say
the
Sharks.
My
maybe?
son Philip played for San Jose Junior Sharks, and that's how we ended up coming back and forth. But if you know what you're looking for, it makes it so much easier in making those career decisions. So that's how I ended up at Fresno State. I was there for, like I said, almost 11 years. And Dr. Welty was really deliberate in his discussions with me about needing to earn a doctorate.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I was deliriously happy with an MBA. That's terminal degree for a CFO.
Oh, so that's why they call you Doc, President Doc, or your
well,
nicknames.
I earned the doctorate, but earning the doctorate is also, when Dr. Welty talked to me about it, he made it clear to me that it wasn't only about the significance of earning the degree for me personally, that there were more opportunities for me and there was another place where I was better needed. So he helped me think that through, because going through a doctoral program is a very grueling experience when you have children and and a demanding job and all the other things that exist with that.
So then went to Fresno for 11 and a half years. And then how did you, then how many? Oh, wait.
Almost 2 months shy of 11 years.
Okay. Shy of 11 years with Fresno State. How did you merge over to San Jose State? Like, how did that transition happen?
So after I earned my doctorate, where I was, Dr. Welty was also at the time my executive sponsor. And, there's a lot written about sponsorship, but there was a newer discipline coming up then.
You didn't really coin it back then. At least we didn't. It's like you had someone that was just actually helping you within your career. But now you look like, well, that was a sponsor. That was a sponsor.
Right. What was a sponsor and what was a mentor, right? And coaching. We need all three: coaches, mentors, and sponsors. It's really important for us to understand what those various roles are. So Dr. Welty, after I finished my doctorate, nominated me for an Executive Leadership Academy program. And while I was working for him, he had given me lots of roles. And so from the corporate side, I was vice president and CFO. I had become like the chair of the campus-wide diversity committee. So I was overseeing our diversity functions. I was what I called CIO light. We had two sections of our IT, both the enterprise side and then the hardware side. So the software and I was in charge of both of those areas. So we didn't have a CIO at the time. So I used to refer to myself as CIO light because the provost and I shared those responsibilities. So he was putting me in lots of places where I might not have normally been in my career role in admin and finance. And as part of the Executive Leadership Academy, you do a gap analysis of that program is intended for you to be a CEO.
Oh, interesting.
So then it is, what are the gaps that you're missing to be adequately prepared to be a CEO? And so there were some things that I was missing that he helped me gain that experience too. And then becoming a university president is really a whole nother workshop, but the process works through nomination. So
I was wondering, how do you get, is there an electoral thing? Or people vote for you?
People nominate you to be considered for the position. So it's not something that you generally raise your hand and say,
you can be like, I want to be the president of San Jose State. I want your job, Cynthia. That's not going to work.
That's not typically how it works. So I became...
I was hoping. That's my next move. Can we just have a little conversation
Yeah,
later?
absolutely. So what happened is I was nominated for the position of CEO of Texas A&M University in San Antonio. And the short story is I went over and talked to my parents, said, I'm thinking about this job, never heard of this university, as it was new, it was coming up. And I pulled up the Google Maps and I was sitting with my dad and he looks at it and he says, I know exactly where that is. This is where, this is the hospital you were born in.
Aww.
This is where we baptized you. This is where your Theo lives. This is where your Thea lives. And so I decided to apply. I went through the process, right? The vetting, and then decided to apply. And I got the position as CEO at Texas A&M University in the exact same red line zip code that my parents worked so hard to move out of.
Wow. Did you buy a house there?
I did.
Yay!
I bought a
How do you
house
like them apples?
there, and it's still not a lot has changed. So there was a lot of internal storytelling, sense of self, sense of community. In fact, one of my dear friends, colleagues, and who's also a friend, said something to me that I thought was really important for us to think about as women. She said to me, on your first day, before you go to campus, on your first, that first weekend or whatever, when you go, drive to your childhood home, park in front of the house, and write down everything you can remember and everything you can think of from that time frame. So I knew the address for my childhood home. What I didn't know was that at one point that had been my grandmother's home. And I was already in my, 40s, it was like 50s. It's like, how did I not know all of these pieces of the story? So being there at CEO at Texas A&M University, San Antonio was very rewarding in ways that I can't even describe. And it was very hard to leave. So to your point, how did I end up at San Jose State without getting into all of that? It was a true process, not only in leadership, but self-discovery, narrative, who we are as people, what it means to be a woman leader, what it means to be a Latina, what it means to be a visible role model. There were so many lessons that I learned there and truly came to understand what it means to be a first-gen student, which is, where we started in this conversation. So flash forward 8 years, Dr. Welty,
He seems amazing.
He's amazing.
So
when I started at A&M San Antonio, Dr. Welty, he was consulting with a group called ASCU. He came to Texas A&M San Antonio with Dr. Jolene Kester, who is someone I've admired for a long time. And the two of them helped facilitate my strategic planning and everything. It's my first presidency. So there's really, a roadmap for any first-time CEO of anything, but especially of a public university in a major system like that. So I stayed connected to Dr. Welty and Dr. Kester. Flash forward to when the position came open at San Jose State, there was also the opening in the chancellor's office. So San Jose State's part of this big 22 university system. And the chancellor is the hiring authority for all of the presidents.
Got it. Of all the state universities across California.
Across the California State University system.
Got it.
Yeah, the 22 campuses. And Chancellor Dr. Kester became the interim chancellor.
Oh.
And had conversations with me about looking at the opportunity at San Jose State. And what I would say to you is that happened at a moment where I was susceptible to listening. And susceptible to hearing, that it was an opportunity for me to think about and looking at everything. So like most, good women leaders, I don't know if I can do that. It's a big jump. I don't know if I'm the right person, if I have the skills that it's a big complicated campus. I was at a smaller campus building a university from the ground up. So you couldn't be, moving from a small institution in the youngest university and one of the youngest, if not the youngest universities in Texas, the state, to the oldest university and founding university of the CSU system in San Jose.
One extreme to the other.
One extreme to another. And a great communicator, storyteller helped me put that line together. You're going from the youngest to one of the oldest institutions. But as I began looking under the hood of all of the great things that you're talking about as an alumnus, but also what's happening in the Silicon Valley and what was starting to peak at that time, it was the great opportunity. And I went through the process like everybody else, but like I was saying earlier, it was a nomination process. It's how you package yourself in this national setting to be selected as a candidate in a very diverse community. It was a very different sort of experience. And it's a challenge just landing at that spot.
It sounds like it. Congratulations, President Cynthia is here today.
And they're closed searches. So I always say it's like out pops a president, because the interview process, which is intense through the search committee, and then when you get to the next level, it's with the board, and then you get to the next level, and it's with the full board. And then they announce, publicly who's been selected. the campus doesn't know. So there's not a whole interview process across the community. It's a selection process that's very confidential, or supposed to be confidential.
They find out when it's announced publicly, basically.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here comes
So you
Cynthia.
Out pops the president, like I say, exactly.
Well, you
Wow.
had some little bit of self-doubt then when
I think everybody,
Kester had
I think everybody goes through these moments of imposter syndrome, and even if it's not in, full blown imposter, it's self doubt. Is it? Am I making the right choice? Am I moving? And it's a family decision.
Yeah, you're moving your family.
We had a full discussion about it before I even agreed to apply and go through the process.
Wow.
And you finally got out of the snow and the weather. And all that
and you're
stuff,
back
the
in sunny
Texas and stuff.
California.
Back in sunny
Perfect.
California. And who would have known, the nexus of this tremendous AI revolution of which San Jose State is right in the middle of.
Okay, we have to talk about that because here we are in Silicon Valley. Some of the most, the largest companies are developing this technology, AI.
Brightest minds.
It's amazing. And I think there's two approaches here that we should dive into on AI. One, from the San Jose State side of it, of how you are preparing students for this era of AI and how they're going to graduate and they're going to be ready and equipped. And then also, I think how you're partnering with the industry and the community on AI. And there's just so much there. So I think maybe let's first talk about the student side of it. Because I know when I graduated from San Jose State, I graduated in 2000 during the .com era. So if you can put up a website, you were a freaking genius.
Yeah.
So, but I mean,
Right.
I
remember
fooled
that,
everybody.
yeah.
I was, well, maybe I don't know.
You didn't fool anybody. Yeah, you didn't fool anybody.
But
You could
it
do
was like I was graduating with these skills. And I'll be honest, at that time, I was also working in industry because I always worked at the same time. It took me 7 years to graduate, but I
That's
did
okay.
it.
You did it.
I did
Exactly
it.
right.
I did it.
Like she said, it doesn't matter how long
Doesn't
it
matter
takes.
how long it took me time. But I remember being a little bit ahead of some of my graduates at that time because I was working in industry. And it was like our senior project. I was like, I can do, off security sign on. They're like, where'd you learn that? I'm like, you kind of need to do that on the website and do a login. So it's interesting now. I feel, what has changed where you're preparing students now in this era. Like, I think there's also some teachers and faculty I hear in different parts of it, they're scared. Like, how many can students use AI? Should teachers use AI? I mean, I think there's a balance there. So I'm curious how you're handling it.
So there's a lot to unpack there. Let me start with this. I started January of 2023. I started on Martin Luther King Day. It's a holiday. So that was my first day, started the day in a service project and then over at the Martin Luther King luncheon. And I met Mayor Matt Mahan my first day on the job. And I went to his swearing in. It was really a moment to work with him and understand, well, what is the vision for the city of San Jose? Because as an entity, as a corporate entity, we are a business. I'll get to your question. We are a business and our customers, our service area is the region in which we serve. So understanding from the mayor's perspective, and he talked a lot at that moment about getting back to basics, securing our city, but taking advantage of the industry partners that we have. And he called out that one of the assets of our great city is San Jose State.
Wow.
And the value of this incredible public university, which is true. And it's not all elected officials who see their universities as a public asset, which it is. So in my I start and land a few days after he's getting ready to be sworn in. It was really significant for me to understand his vision because I then saw ourselves as Silicon Valley's public university. We branded ourselves that way, as I said to you earlier, the original startup, the original influencers. So what does that look like for our community in our strategic planning and our, what I called at the time, strategic plan recalibration coming out of the pandemic, reopening at that time, the campuses.
That's right. You went through a difficult time during this transition. Jeez.
Yeah, everybody did.
Everybody did.
But really, how do we position ourselves in that space, knowing that? So I was asking questions like, are we the Silicon Valley tech savvy university? Are we behaving that way? Are we leaning into those moments? And so the whole AI explosion, revolution is important, the generative AI piece, but it is the emergence of all of the technologies. I call it the convergence of technologies. So it's not just generative AI, it's generative AI and human-robotic connections. So where are our students going to be, not today, but in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years, to your point? what are the skills that people are expecting from our graduates? Because now, from when you graduated in 2000, which is a great point of reference, how many of our graduates are in all the tech companies in positions of influence and proud of their San Jose State education, even against the backdrop of UC Berkeley or Stanford or Davis, San Francisco, that we are amongst those giants and we carry that same weight in a different way in what we're doing. But our graduates are really building the tech communities, as you well know. So leaning into all of this from a leadership and management perspective of foundationally, what are we doing? Strategic plan recalibration. What are our goals? What are our values? We had to do all of that work too to get to what do the students need to be the greatest success stories coming forward, because our employers are looking for them. So we have to lean into all of this AI work. So we had to wrestle through the various challenges, questions, uncertainty, surety of what we hear from enterprise and what students say they want. Well, it turns out we've been doing this work for a long time, as you know, and many of our faculty were off doing what they should have been doing. So we've been spending time then trying to capture, well, where are our core competencies? Where are our core strengths? Who is doing what so we can leverage on that? So it turned out we have faculty in several key areas of machine learning, large language models, generative AI, all of the integration on robotics and convergence of technologies.
Fantastic.
All of this work is already happening. So then building the framing around it, we started looking for, okay, what do we need to do from an instructional design perspective to ensure that all faculty have these
they have to be equipped and they have to be learning in this moment too,
and
right?
be ahead. And nobody can be ahead of Nvidia. Nobody can be ahead of Google or Meta. When you're a public university, you just don't have those resources.
Right.
So leaning into the partners with our tech was really important. So we have this amazing partnership with Adobe, for example.
Oh, okay.
We're Adobe Creative Commons campus. Adobe has invested in our university through their foundation for a number of digital literacy training skills and training tools that we were doing across the faculty, across the university. We have hundreds of Adobe ambassadors. We have all of our students can have full access to all the Creative Commons tools because creativity.
Those tools are very expensive.
Exactly. So our first year writing seminars, for example, now have integrated the tools, and it's made multidimensional learning with creativity so much better for a first-gen student, for an international student, for students who have a long line of family, college professionals in their lives. They all have a lot of equitable access to their experiences that they bring to the university through the creativity, through using the tech tools. And then if you look at what ChatGPT has been doing in the marketplace, and I myself have been really diving into that.
I think we might have saw a little demo that you're here. You have a little avatar.
Yes,
exactly.
So some members of our foundation board, one of our foundation board members tuned me into this product that I explored deeper. So we have now my own AI avatar digitally that we're using, and actually she debuted today at Adobe headquarters in a design challenge that is being run by Adobe, where our students are there with some of our leaders, and we're focused on brand positioning and communication to high school students, transfer students, reskilling and upskilling, because all those markets are looking for something different, and building a design thinking challenge around that with what's happening right here in downtown. So this whole integration, it's an ecosystem, and the city of San Jose State, revitalizing what's happening, using and taking advantage of all the tech tools. We announced a 3-way partnership between the city, us, and Nvidia.
That's even more
first
fantastic.
Partnership of its kind. So we're looking at creating AI learning labs in our Martin Luther King Library, which is the first public partnership in the Martin Luther King Library.
I didn't know that. I went to the library and I was like, wait, it's like open to the public, but then San Jose State also uses it and it's integrated together.
Yes, it's fantastic. 8 stories. And
beautiful.
We did a big press conference there today, in fact, announcing this new AI generative AI partnership across the entire California State University system, the first of its kind in the nation.
I was going to say it doesn't sound like it's common at all, but that's the beauty of integrating those corporate companies that are on the cutting edge. And then you have students that are also on the cutting edge of literally graduating. And it's like, how do you integrate them? I mean, that's exact. But you said first in the nation, like why aren't more people, more universities doing this?
One of the things that, we talking a little bit of corporate speak here, leveraging our geography is significant for San Jose State.
Place.
We're in a special place. So you can be in a public university in many places, but there is no replicating being a public urban downtown institution in the Silicon Valley. And your experiences that you were talking about 20 years ago have matured even more so. Students, we have one of our courses that we feature often at Adobe. So the students go to Adobe, they do some project work.
And you're immersed into it.
They're immersed into it. So if you're a first-gen student from maybe a different socioeconomic background, the idea of being in the corporate headquarters of Adobe is like mind-blowing, right? And so you not only do you come in there with faculty, with other students, you know that you can be there.
You know what I like about that? Because I remember, at least when I was learning the trade of computer engineering, like I didn't even know how it would actually apply in the real world until you make that connection. Then that's where the magic actually happens. But I think that being in the campus, being in those companies, and being able to see that and firsthand, that's like brilliant.
Sure,
that's how you get. That's how this is value. I want to continue learning. I'm going to use this. This is exciting. Keep on going. You're going to graduate. It's going to be fine.
Yes.
That's what was going on in my head.
Well, I'm going to say the pipeline to a job.
The pipeline to a job.
Pipeline to a job. That's what students are looking at right now. So some of our students have gone through the pandemic. They have a very different mindset than you had as a student, than I had as a student, what I've experienced as a parent, what I've experienced as a teacher, as a learner, as an educator. They have a very different experience having come through the pandemic and how they see the world, how they've matured, how they are thinking about learning, what they think about the value of a degree. So all of this is requiring us to shift. We have to be where they are, and we have to think about where they are differently. That's part of this design thinking challenge. But it's also, to your point, about field-based experiences. Students want to know right now, every class, how does this translate to me getting a job?
It's worth my time.
How does it translate to my career? Why should I be here instead of working somewhere, wherever I could be, or startup, or any other number of things if you're in the ecosystem as a designer, developer, content creator? So much has changed. And so we have shifted too in these areas. And that is truly unique here at Silicon Valley, at San Jose State. So partnerships with places like OpenAI, Nvidia, Adobe, these partnerships that we're announcing on a regular basis. If you're at some other city in some other university,
you're not going to get that.
You're not going to get that. And students have access to way more information than we ever had in any moment of time now, in however they choose to search, whether it's TikTok, Google, Chat, Claude, whatever sort of Google Gemini, whatever tools that they're using. Twitch is just remarkably different. And so we've got to always be ahead of that and how they're thinking about the world. So AI is helping us with all of that, not without its challenges and not without our own, whole new industries are going to be invented. I told the students last spring 2 things in my message to them, my sort of 3-minute, this is what I want you to take away from your experiences here as you start into your journey. Be the best prompt engineer you can be. Doesn't matter if you're a theater major or a computer programmer. If you don't understand the principles of prompt engineering, you won't be able to have your chat coworker with you, your assistant here. So that's really fundamental. Number 2, you are still the human in the loop.
Yes.
And you will continue to be the human in the loop for some time. So that work's going to look different. So you can't abdicate your responsibilities. We have to maintain ethics, consideration, all of the stuff that we are grappling with as a nation, as a society, as we think about everything. And I tell students, you're going to live and work in space. You are going to live, you and your children are going to live in a fully autonomous vehicle society. Your world is going to be so much different with human computer robotics interactions than mine will ever be. So what you're learning in college now to do this work is actually going to reshape the world. And you're important in being the human in the loop in that machination.
That is beautiful. I think we've been talking to several folks on AI, but just the way you articulated it is like absolutely a perfect point. Like the human in the loop, that is the requirement in order for everybody to get it right. And rather than being scared, like, oh, they're replacing my job or anything like that, like, no, not at all.
There's still a lot more critical thinking that is going to be required. There's be a whole, and if you ever watch any of the keynote talks from some of the CEOs at major corporations, I was invited last year at GTC to hear Jensen Huang, the CEO of Nvidia, speak, and just so he did it at SAP. So I was there. Our marching band was invited, and
cool.
they were the entry performers for everyone coming in. I was an audience participant there with all the developers and engineers and whoever business leaders that were there. But you feel it different when you're in there. And for me, I left there with this higher sense of urgency and purpose for what has to happen at San Jose State to be at the front of the spear to make these changes in the world. So I'm very attuned to what our tech CEOs are doing to model what we need to be doing at the university to be ready. Well, it's happening.
It is
to
happening,
be in the flow. That's why I'm saying these concepts about what I'm sharing with you of the significance of what our students have to learn and what I have to think about as CEO, and then what the mayor is asking us to do. So how do we position our whole city and our community? Because our city is at a great place right now, and our public university, and my role as a woman leader, as a Latina leader, as a leader in general, what does that mean for how I can position for legacy moments in the future, like what's going to be happening in 2026 in the city?
What's happening in 2026?
2026 within our city, within our county, within our region is going to be home to the Super Bowl.
Ooh,
that's going to be
Levi
fun.
Stadium in March of 2026. We don't even know who's playing yet. And
that's
then
true.
Details. A few months. I mean, I suppose ChatGPT could predict who might be playing. So you could start a project and see what happens. World Cup. We're going to host 4 games of the World Cup here in our community. And then the NC2A, some regional basketball tournaments are also going to be held here. And this year, towards the NBA All-Star competitions that are going on. So this is a moment where San Jose State is also leaning into what is the significance of the sports economy. If you listen to the mayor talk or members of the Bay Area Host Committee or where I'm a member, this is over a $500 million plus industry in the retail, hospitality, restaurant, whatever all these tangential businesses will be, and opportunities for entrepreneurship, and how all the tech is going to play out and all that is for our students and our community to be part of that so that it's a legacy, not a one-time. So how do we continue to benefit and grow from that as a community to be a sports-supported city? Starts with youth sports, intercollegiate athletics, and all of the activities that will lead up to the game. And there'll be a lot of people, visitors, tourists that come to our community that won't go to a game, but they'll be here to participate, be part of the watch parties, to be part of all the game day, pre-game, game day events that are going to happen away from the stadium, to still be part of the energy.
Are you going to do stuff at the San Jose State Stadium and do watch parties,
absolutely.
Everything? Wow.
So we will be practice fields for one of the NFL teams, and we'll be practice fields for the World Cup games as well. So it gives us an opportunity to leverage all the things that we do, which is why our partnership with the city is so important.
It's so important. You're part of the whole ecosystem, not just like the tech, it's sports, it's everything. And like you said, you're in the central hub. What an exciting
and it's
time.
It's theater, it's dance, it's everything that's going to be part of that. And so we've leaned into it since I've been here 2 years. We've risen significantly in the national ranks.
Where are we at?
So our university was ranked number 4 by Wall Street Journal of public universities in the nation. So they reviewed 500 universities. We were number 16 overall. When you disaggregated and looked at publics and privates, we were number 4 on the public universities in the nation, according to Wall Street Journal College Pulse. We're in the top 3 Western regional universities through U.S. News and World Report, and there's a lot of rankings and a number of criterion. So there's a lot of pride in what's happening at San Jose State, which leads to pipeline to a job. What are parents looking for? So coming back to AI, I'm really thinking about generative AI, AI avatars. How do I use AI to better position my own productivity, my brand, our recognition, our positioning in the market, and more direct personal communication with prospective students, with students who have accepted, who have lots of choices of where they're going. And moms and dads and parents and loved ones still have an influence over some of that decision. So my AI avatar eventually will allow me to be better integrated with ChatGPT, our customer relationship management tool, so that I can personally greet everyone and talk to them about
what a welcoming experience.
Because parents want to know where their child's going and where their student's going. What are the opportunities for getting a job? What's the return on investment? What is loans going to look like? What does tuition look like? What does housing look like? So there's so many other cool ways that we can interact, and lots of other things that we just are at the tip of exploring what we're doing. And so being with the tech companies is really cool. Like I mentioned today, this press conference,
so excited.
This press conference that we just did that got me some entree into coming to some of the local tech giants innovation labs to talk more about what I'm trying to do and how can you help me think about this from a CEO perspective? How can I be part of your innovation lab and your learning labs? So I'm all in.
You're all in. All in. And this is so encouraging, and it's exciting to hear as a university that you're all in, you're embracing this, you're integrating, you're like more, and it's refreshing, it's forward thinking. So hats off to you on how you're doing this. So thank you. And I'm sure there's so many students and parents and everything. They're just like so thankful. And we can keep on talking too forever. But hopefully we'll see you at the 2026 Super Bowl. And even before that, I'm also proud to be on the Tower Foundation board.
Yes.
So thank you for getting me on there or somehow allowing me to be there.
Fundraising and philanthropy is really important. It moves the university. And we have a great story. We have great needs. And there's investors investing in San Jose State will see a return on their investment, and we can make a difference.
We got to make it there for our students. So with that, Cynthia, one of the things that we like to end with on the podcast is a moment that you'd want to elevate a woman that you admire, or someone that elevate their voice or their craft, or someone that inspires you. And give a little shout out to.
So there's a couple of people I would give a shout out to. Dr. Jolene Kester, who I mentioned earlier, who helped bring me back to the CSU. I've admired her from afar and close for a long time. So it was an honor for me to join her and be in her leadership team for the short time that she was interim. My current chancellor, Dr. Mildred Garcia, is the first Latina chancellor of our system. I've known her for a number of years. I've also admired her and the work that she's been doing. And this is a very difficult job, to be a university president, to be a system chancellor in very complicated times. And there's criticism everywhere. There's adoration everywhere. And I really hold up Chancellor Garcia as a true role model for all of us as we think about leadership and leadership going forward. And people like Dr. Soraya Coley, who's announced her retirement. It's first African-American woman president at an African-American scholar and woman president at Cal Poly Pomona, who's also my presidential mentor here in the CSU system, has announced her retirement. She'll be stepping down in July. So I'm thrilled to be around these women leaders who have just been opening doors for so many others. And I look forward to continue to open the societal doors of today, which is happening in generative AI and computing.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you. This is amazing. Thank you so much for being here. We've had a fantastic time, and thank you. All right. That's a wrap.
Thank you. It's a delight.
HumanizeHer would not be possible without the crew behind the scenes. Ash Blodgett, our director and creative producer, for guiding us with expertise, creativity, and passion. Becky Davis, our talented director of photography and creative producer, for bringing our stories to life with stunning visuals. And Kristen West, our director of brand and design, for creating an emotional brand identity. To our listeners, we're on this journey together, and we love hearing how this podcast has helped you. It keeps us going, so please keep sending us your stories to her@humanizeher.com to be featured in upcoming episodes. And if you'd like to help us with this movement, please support by rating and subscribing. Until next time.